Welcome back everybody to the bus build series. In today's video, we're going to be taking all the materials here and creating a roof mounting system for our solar panels. So just to give you guys an idea of how big these solar panels actually are, this is me next to a panel. The panel is 40 inches wide by 65 inches long. These are 250 watt Trina solar panels. And I'll put the spec sheet up on the screen so you can see what we're working with. So the first thing I started working on here was to cut all of the mounting feet, which I'm cutting out of 2-inch wide steel plate and 1/8 inch thick. The plan is to have 2 mounting rails with 3 legs per rail, so 6 mounting legs total and 6 mounting feet total. The legs are what I'm cutting here out of 1.25 inch square tubing. If you're working on a bus now, you know that the roof is not flat. There is a gradual curve to it. This is something that you'll need to account for when deciding how to mount anything to your roof that is generally flat. Here I'm cutting the bottom most outer leg to match the angle of the roof at a specific distance from the most center leg. I think it's important to mention, if you want to build your own mounting system for your bus's roof, I recommend going into the project with a general design and layout for your mounting system, but not worrying about any roof angles or measurements until you start the project. This way you can reference the bus as you build, because there's always going to be things that you forget to account for beforehand. So here is the back panel mounting rack completed with all of the holes drilled and hardware installed to check the fitment. To see right here, on top of cutting the leg at a slight angle, I bent the mounting feet to help it hug the roof even more. We also had to trim the outer shell of the emergency exit. This was so that we could mount the feet to the U channel of the bus, which is stronger than mounting to the sheet panel of the roof. After a quick sanding of the mounting rack, I went ahead and put a coat of metal spray primer on. I decided to also put a coat of spray bed liner on after the primer, as I like the durability this adds. I then finished it off with a coat of gloss white to help it fit the bus's color scheme a lot better. Here we are just doing one final check on fitment before we drill the holes for the front mount. The last thing was to cut out some gasket material to use between the mounting feet and the roof. We decided to use a shower pan liner material for this. With everything done, it was finally time to mount the brackets and hope that everything lined up just right and that our mounting rails were as square as could be. We mounted the racks using 3/8 inch mounting bolts and washers as well as locking nuts. We also used a construction adhesive between the roof and gasket as well as between the gasket and the mounting feet. Then we finished it off with a healthy amount of silicone all around the edges of the mounting feet. I want to mention that it's crucial to use locking nuts and even some thread lacquer on the mounting bolts to help keep everything secure. I would not recommend using regular nuts with a locking washer, as it has a better chance of rattling loose. To wire our solar wires through the roof, we used 2 separate solar glands, one for each panel. For an extra seal, I used a rubber grommet in the roof hole that would allow the solar cable to tightly slip through, reducing the chance of water getting through, as well as protecting the cable from the sharp edges of the bus roof. After the wires are fed through the gland and the roof, I applied a bead of silicone where the gland would sit and screwed the gland into the roof, and then added another bead of silicone around the entire gland. Overall, we are really happy with the racks, and the only modifications we can see doing in the future would be adding a wind deflector of sorts and running some steel from the front rail to the back rail to help tie the 2 racks together.
Take it too far now. I dwell in the sand like a fish on land, but I'm deep, deep down on the bottom of the well. I don't belong, can't you tell? This place must be hell. No more cookies in this jar. Did I take it too far now? I dwell in the sand like a fish on land.